Hello everybody, and welcome to the session number 9, which is going to be about the qualitative research tools, the interviewing and the observation. Last time we talked about different types of research according to the approach, which is qualitative and quantitative, and accordingly we have different types of tools. So for qualitative we talked about interview, different types of interview, the personal interview and the focus group discussion, and also observation as tools of qualitative research. So today we are going to explain everything related to these tools for data collection. So the ILOs, or the intended learning outcomes for this session, is going to be that the students should be able to, after finishing this session, describe the basic qualitative research orientation, discuss the role of qualitative research in exploratory research. Mostly we use the qualitative research and tools in exploratory research, and also the students should be able to prepare personal and focus group interview outlines, and also develop the observation or unobservation process for data collection. That's what we are going to talk about in this session. The content of this session is going to be reflecting the ILOs of the session, which is talking about we'll discuss or talk about the features of qualitative research, and also the exploratory research, and also talking about the tools of data collection, which is going to be interview, personal interview as one of the types of interview, and also the focus group interview, which is going to be another type of interview, and also we'll talk about the observation as another instrument of data collection. Okay, so for qualitative research there are some features that can differentiate between these types of methodology and other types of methodologies. The qualitative research mostly is used for exploratory purpose, so to explore things, for finding new issues, developing and exploring whether there is a problem or not in companies and organizations, or any place. It is also focus. One of the features of qualitative research is that it's focused on natural, or it focused on natural behavior. So focusing on the behavior of which is natural. The third is emphasis on subjective experience. So it is mostly subjective. Even the data collection instrument is going to be the researcher himself. So when we collect data using this types of method, we are going to go through or use the interview or focus group discussion or even observation. In this case, the instrument of data collection and data analysis is going to be the researcher himself. That's why it is a subjective experience. Examination of context, or it's examine the context and environment. So it's a type of inductive method. So exploring phenomena, and then come up with patterns, and then compare the patterns with what we have in reality, and then develop, let's say, a model or a theory. So it is inductive and not deductive. We develop phenomena, we develop variables using this methodology mostly. Awareness of the researcher's rule. The researcher rule is the focus, or the researcher is the focus, as I said, because he is or she is going to be the data collection instrument and data analysis instrument. When we talk about exploratory research, that means it's a research in which we diagnose a situation or diagnose a phenomena. So we just go through a phenomena or go through a situation and investigate and find out whether things are going okay or not, whether there are some problems or irregularities or anything. In exploratory research also we discover new ideas. So it is not testing previous ideas like what we do in deduction. research or applying a theory or model that is existed before, so I apply in different situation or different environments. So it is to use to discover new ideas. Screening alternatives. So we might have some problems, so we need some alternatives to be screened, so we use the exploratory research, and accordingly we might use the qualitative methodology or approach. So as I said, in diagnosing a situation, we analyze a situation using the exploratory research. So the informal gathering of background information to familiarize researchers or managers with the decision area. So it is like analyzing a situation by getting some information or formal gathering of background information to familiarize researchers or managers with the decision area. An example of situation analysis is interviews with employees about the general complaints. So if I am doing a research about the job satisfaction, I might interview the employees to find out what are the complaints, what are their complaints about the work and the job, and about the benefits and allowances or the things that they got from the company. Asking customers' opinions about the new advertisement campaigns, so get some opinions from the customers, also can be one of the aspects of the situation analysis. For discovering new ideas in business decision making, generating new business ideas about new product, new investments. So it is very critical sometimes. So getting some information or ideas about the product introduced or produced for the market recently, it is also good to use the interview or focus group discussion in order to get some ideas. Managers, employees, and customers, so all of them may be consulted to develop new idea that would never come to mind the decision makers, and this is also very, very important. For instance, users also orders and complaints may help decision makers develop new alternative ideas, turn them into new product concepts, and this is also very, very important. The screening of alternatives, as I said, we might have in decision making a lot of determine a lot of alternatives. So screen the alternatives solutions, for example, in order to help for making decision, is also one of the aspects of exploratory research. So then the best ones among them, very critical because of time and money constraints. So concept testing is a tool for screening alternative situation or solution, especially alternative concepts of new revised product. For instance, after collecting the opinion of customers about alternative new product concepts, the best one may be determined also. Now, let's start with the tools or instruments of data collection for this type of research, which is qualitative type of research. The interview is one of the main tools by which we can collect data for qualitative approach. So the interview is an exchange of views between two people and conversation about topic that concerns them both. When we talked about questionnaire in the quantitative, the questionnaire is going to be prepared and distributed to the respondents or subjects, and then collected back. There is no interaction. There is no exchange in views. In the interview, there is a mutual conversation between the interviewee and interviewer, between the researcher and the respondents, and this is the difference between these types of methodology and the other one. So the exchange of views is going to be through interview. We might go in depth and ask about many things, and a question will lead to another question. All these are very important. The interdependence of human interaction and knowledge production is main theme, or the main theme, in the qualitative research interview. So the interaction is the main thing. So interacting with others is the main thing, with each other, between the researcher and the students, is the main feature of these instruments. So we can say the interviews are unstructured and direct way of obtaining information. So a direct way means it is a direct communication between the researcher and the respondents. So we have a mutual conversation. The research interview is an instrument in which we seek to understand the world as seen from the respondents. So let the respondents talk and just listen. Give them some questions, follow up with them, and then get some information. But don't pause the respondent. Let them talk freely. Give whatever information they find very important. It produces social knowledge through interaction between interviewer and respondent, as we have just explained. So it is the quality of produced data depends on the interview skills and knowledge on the topic. This is also much more important to understood. So the quality of the data depends on the interviewer's skills and knowledge on the topic, because the interviewer is the instrument of data collection. So whenever he will feel that there are some information missing or data missing, he needs to ask more and more. And also there are a lot of ways in which he can encourage the respondents to give more data and more information. Research interview involves a cultivation of conversation skills that most people possess by virtue of our ability to ask questions. We have two types of interview. The first type of interview is what we call the personal interview, which is one-to-one interview. The researcher with the respondent. Okay, with the respondent. So it is one-to-one interview. It's a personal interview. The researcher is going to ask questions. Respondent is going to answer these questions, and this is what we call the personal interview. The second type of interview is what we call the focus group discussion, or the focus group interview, which is an interview done by the researcher, but he will have different people. He might have 5 to 8 persons. Okay, and these people are going to be involved in a discussion and the researcher needs what we call a moderator. So whatever issue is going to be discussed, the moderator is going to write and take notes. The personal interview is an interview that are conducted on a one-on-one basis, and this is what I said, the researcher and the respondents. So these interviews typically last for 30 minutes to more than an hour. It might take 1 hour and 15 minutes, but more than that it is not recommended, because it is going to be burdening to the interviewee or the respondents, so the respondents might not give much information. They attempt to uncover underlying motives, prejudice, attitudes towards sensitive issues, and this is a very important issue for the interpersonal or the personal interview. So there are some phases which or stages which we have to, or steps which we have to go through in order to prepare for the personal interview. And when I say in order to prepare, I'm talking to a researcher and how he can prepare for the process of making a personal interview. The first point is, or the first phase or stage is thematize. So define the purpose and goals of the research, of the interview, which is going to be taken from the research problem and objectives of the research. The second step is design the interview, the layout, process, and the questions. The questions must reflect the objectives and the purposes. Okay, so the questions is going to be a reflection of the goals of the research. Then conduct the interview and choose a good place to interview the respondent, a place which is conducive, in which you feel relaxed, so he can give you what all the information needed. Then transcribe or change this audio or to written text. Most of the time when we interview, it's difficult to take notes, so the videotape or sometimes not to videotape, only to record this interview, and then you can transcribe to a text, written text. Then analyze and figure out what it means, what these information or data collected means, find meanings, and then verify, check the reliability and validity of these data. And at the end, you come up with a report which is going to be the findings and which needs to be discussed and explained. The interviewing behavior needs to be conducted while in the interview. Respect the culture of the group being studied. This is very important. So the researcher must respect the culture of the people. The researcher also must respect the individual being interviewed, the one who is a respondent and you are interviewing them. Be natural. Be natural. So make do not pretend things. So just make it very easy interview. Develop an appropriate rapport with the participants. That means before you start the interview, try with the interviewee to get to know each other, so he is going to feel relaxed and he can give you all the data needed without any and he's not going to be conservative. Ask one question at a time. So don't give the interviewee or the respondents many questions, so he's going to be confused. So ask the question, wait until the respondent will finish the answer. Ask another question for clarity, and then move to the second question. Ask some questions in different ways during the interview to clarify or to make sure that the respondent gets you right. Ask the interviewee to repeat an answer when in doubt, and also vary who controls the flow of communication, so you are going to motivate the respondent to answer. Avoid leading questions. These questions, which is the first part, will lead to the second question. And do not interrupt. Make the interviewee feel free to talk about or to answer or to give his full answer. If you interrupt the interviewee, he's or she is going to be irritated and they might not be cooperative. The second type of the interview is what we called the focus group interview, which is unstructured, free-flowing interview with a small group of people. Consists of, as we said, a moderator and the interviewer. So the researcher and a moderator. The moderator mission is to take notes and record and help the researcher conducting the interview. It is between 6 to 10 participants, not more than 10, because the interviewer might lose the control of this discussion. The note taker is going to be the moderator. So the notes must be taken and the discussion must be recorded. Moderator introduce topics and encourage group members to discuss the subject amongst themselves. So also the moderator is going to introduce the topics and help the interviewer and encourage the groups and allow people to discuss their true feelings in their own words. This must be by the interviewer. So it is like this. We have the interviewer and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so different people, and the moderator must be attending here so he can help the interviewer. So there are some outlines we need to understand for the focus group. So establish a rapport, as this is just like as the personal interview. So get to know each other, or get to know the interviewees and the group, and introduce yourself so they can feel free and they can they are not going to be conservative. So being with broad topic, begin with broad topic. So start from general to specific, which is very important. Focus in the specific topics needed, which is going to be translated to the data needed, and then generate discussion and interaction. Open for a free discussion, so you can find a lot of data come up from this interaction and discussion. The requirements for effective focus group. So there are some characteristics for the effective focus group, or some requirements for effective focus group. The first thing is carefully screen participants. So you are going to choose participants who are very knowledgeable, who can give you a lot of information. So want people who have knowledge about the topic at hand. Homogeneous participants is very important, because if the group is heterogeneous, a lot of conflict is going to appear, and you cannot complete the group discussion group, and you might have a lot of problems. So relaxed atmosphere, conducive environment with a relaxed atmosphere is needed. If possible, room with one-way mirror and audio video recording capabilities. This is also very, very important, so you can go back to it as a researcher to find out and transcribe what you have got, the information you got. Session duration around 1 hour is very important to look for the timing, or identify the best timing for this type of data collection method. Trained moderator. A moderator must be trained so he can play a good role and the best role to help you. The third instrument in qualitative research is what we call observation. And we have different types of observation, whether you use the checklist observation, and the researcher himself is going to observe the behavior of people, and then check the checklist, or to videotape and then review that video taping tool. So the systematic process of recording the behavioral patterns of people, objects, occurrences as they are witnessed. So no questioning or communicating with people typically occurs, and this is very, very important to take care of. So the observation is going to be just videotaping or recording, no question, no communication between the researcher and the respondents is going to be. So what can be observed? Many phenomena can be observed and can or we can use the observation for these types of research. So we have here some phenomena and examples, like human behavior or physical actions, like shoppers' movement patterns in a store. This is very important. So we can just videotape the behavior and then analyze that later. Verbal behavior, so statements made by airline travelers who wait in line. So analyze this. And what we call expressive behavior, which is facial expressions, tone of voice, and other forms of body language. This is also can be observed and can be analyzed for customer satisfaction, close or customer satisfaction indicators, or even employees satisfaction indicators. There are also other phenomena like spatial relations and locations, like how close visitors at art museums stand to paintings. So very close, away, a little bit away, how much time they will spend. This is also very important, and this is can give some meanings. Temporal patterns, like how long fast food customers wait for their order to be served. So this is also very important. Physical objectives. This is also another phenomena by which we can use, or for which we can use the observation of data collection. So what brand name items are stored in customers' pantries? So this is very, very helpful. Verbal and pictorial records, so barcodes on product packages. This is also can be observed. So the direct observation is going to be one of the types of observation, which is going to be a straightforward attempt to observe and record what naturally occurs. So just fix videotape camera, and then a video camera and videotape whatever is naturally occurs. The investigator does not create an artificial situation. This is also another thing. Observer bias in this type of observation, so distortion of measurement resulting for the cognitive behavior or actions of witnessing observers. So when the people will find that they are observed, they might pretend some behavior or show pretended behavior. Observation of human behavior benefits. This is another one, which is communication with respondents is not necessary in this type of observation. Data without distortion due to self-report, like without social desirability, is biased. No need to rely on respondents' memory, and non-verbal behavior data may be obtained, and certain data may be obtained more quickly. Environmental conditions may be recorded also by observation of human behavior benefits. May be combined with survey to provide supplemental evidence. So the observation and also survey at the same time can be also making for guaranteeing the accuracy of what we call the information. So we come to the end of the session, which was about the qualitative approaches and the tools and instruments of collecting data for this approach. So for all the students, I hope throughout this session that you learned, or you have learned how to describe the basic qualitative research orientation, and also to discuss role of qualitative research and exploratory research, preparing personal and focus group discussion, or interview and developing observation process of for data collection. The assignment is going to be attached with this or to this session and uploaded in the LMS. We comes to the end of the session, and we have discussed the features of qualitative research. We have also talked about the exploratory research, which is mainly depending most of the time on qualitative research. We also talked about the instruments and tools that can be used for qualitative research, which is interviewing and also the observation. We talked about different types of interview, the personal interview and focus group interview. I hope you found all these information and all these explanations easy and understood. And see you in the next session. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you.